Okay, let's take a look at some basic macro. Macro in Excel is it's just essentially it's just a series of recorded actions that you can play back whenever you want. So what you want to think about here is if you find yourself doing something repetitive, you know, if you're doing a repetitive task every morning, like for example, bolding headers, changing font sizes, or adding a specific formula. We can record those steps once and turn them into a single click command, or we can put a shortcut to it. So if you're always doing something consistent every day, or something you have to generate and format and design, your spreadsheets have to be stylized a certain way, then this is where a macro comes in play. And really, if you think about, well, most of the people probably won't know, but you know, I use this analogy in class sometimes, and I'm like, but it's like you pressing a record button on an old cassette player. Okay, for those newer people, it's like pressing screen record feature on your phone. You know, but that's what a macro does. And with a macro, you know, just really it just helps you eliminate that busy work. It saves you time and be able to do certain things. You know, for example, you know, if I can go in and hit a button or press a shortcut key like I do for, like, for example, Control Z to undo something, Excel performs all those steps within less than a second. Wow, this is great, you know, for that purpose. So, like for example, you know, maybe you're going in and you just want to simply uh, do some formatting, or you know, maybe set up this and resize column A, type in a heading, and get data you're going to import in. So it's really such an essential tool in Excel. Now, what's happening with Excel? Excel is actually writing code. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that code to make changes to. But there are people out there, developers, that will go into the code called VBA, Visual Basic for Applications, and it's a little more complicated to look at. And they will do some complicated coding to create those macros to be automated. There's actually money, there's jobs out there. That's all they do is work on that. And so what we're going to be focusing on is using the macro recorder. So that's no code version for you. You go in, do the steps. Excel writes the code for you. Now, if you wanted to, you can open up the VBA editor and make some changes, look at the code, but really you don't need to for that purpose. Let's use a basic. I have a basic spreadsheet open. I don't have it. You just open up a new spreadsheet. Let's just take a look at macro. And so what we'll want to do is we're going to go in and maybe we're going to change some data, or we're going to zoom in on something. And maybe what we're going to do is we're going to take these cells here, A1 through, I'm sorry, let me scroll up, A1 through H1, and we're going to merge it. And then I'm going to increase the height to 50 or somewhere around there. Then I'm going to change the fill color to blue. Then I'm going to change the text color to a dark blue. And then I'm going to type in company name. And then maybe I'm going to go in and I will, you know, I'll go in and maybe I'm going to change the font size. Maybe I'm going to make it bold. Now I will tell you this, before you actually run the macro, you might want to test out the steps, because every time you click on something, it records that step. If you accidentally, for example, you wanted to click on bold, but you clicked on italics and you turn it off and you click on bold, it's recording those steps. So you want to practice the macro as much as possible. Okay? So in this case, if I go back in, I want to do the same thing. Let me undo everything. I'm going to go to the Developer tab. And the Developer tab, we have a Record Macro option here. I'm going to give it a name. So in this case, let's just say Format Spreadsheet. Now you can give it a shortcut here. So you don't want to use, for example, control. You don't want to do, like, for example, if I do Control Z, it's already Control Z as a shortcut. So it's a keyboard shortcut for undoing. So we don't want to repeat a shortcut like Control C is copy, Control X is cut, Control P for pasting. So a lot of times what we'll do is we'll hold down the Shift key or Alt key, and we'll do, for example, you have to hold down the Control Shift plus the letter Z. Or I hold down the Alt key and press Z. Oops, I guess maybe the Alt key doesn't work on that. It used to be. So here I'm just going to go back to Shift, going in. Okay. Now, the other thing too, you can store this macro. This is going to be stored in this workbook only. If we would do it in a macro workbook, then we can use it in other places. This workbook is only going to be in this workbook. Okay, so we can give a description. You should probably give a description because I'm going to tell you right away is that down the road you'll see the macro and you say, what does this macro do? You forget about it, so kind of write a description where you go and you click OK. It's remembering everything now. It's recording. So I'm going to go up here and select A1 H1. I'll go to my Home tab. I'm going to merge. I'm going to increase the height. Okay, let's go ahead and choose that blue color, blue text, company name. Okay, I'm going to accept that. Then I'm going to change the formatting, font size to 24. I'm going to click on bold. I'll go back to the developer tab. I'm going to click on stop recording. Okay. So now if I click a new sheet, okay, I'm on a new sheet. You remember I did Control Shift Z. There it is. I add a new sheet. Control Shift Z. There it is. Okay. So if we come up and click on the macros button under the developer, we will see that format spreadsheet is here. So if we forget the shortcut, we can always open it up and then run it. Okay. In theory, you can edit the macro if you wanted to. So this is what the VBA code looks like. Some of it makes sense, some of it doesn't. So again, something to look at. I'm going to close that. Go back to macros. You can delete that. You can run it if you want to. So that's something to look at. Now, if I'm going to create a new workbook here. Okay. So now I'm going to do Control Shift Z. And again, the macro is going to be very helpful for you when you want to keep things consistent or if you have things that are routine. Now, don't forget, it will do formulas. It will do formatting. It will do anything you can do in Excel, it will record.